Hey, welcome, Dina. So
Thank
nice.
you for having me.
Wow, we are here together from different parts of the world.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The
Yeah.
connections. Yeah, right. Isn't that what it's all about too? Getting connected and knocking out the walls that might be stopping deeper connection.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's
Yeah.
all about.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, we are here to discuss a little bit about your upcoming workshop in Home of Gaia in Amsterdam. And I find it a very fascinating subject that you're bringing in. I know you a little bit and know your passion about astrology, and I find it very exciting to hear more about how you want to combine all these passions of yours into one workshop. And yeah, tell me, tell me a little bit about you and your journey and why this exact subject that you will talk about is sparking you at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's an ongoing journey, but for me, it's all about being in the deepest space of my heart and not having blocks come up that I couldn't work through or wouldn't want to work through. I was in a long-term marriage, 25 years, and we basically, became like roommates. What I always felt, especially with my Scorpio ascendant and my eighth house, which is Scorpio's house, I have a lot of planets there. Venus as well. So that's a planet of love and beauty. I always felt that there was more to a relationship with more depth than I experienced with my former husband. And he's a great guy, but we just kind of grew apart. And so my journey took me into it actually will be 10 years this June coming up that I will have been legally divorced and in and out of just a few very kind of I don't know what to say, not very deep relationships. Dated a few men, nothing really serious, until my last one. And it was the realization that, wow, I'm like, this is, this love that I feel. Like I knew it as soon as I saw this man, and it was just so beautiful. But with that beauty comes shadows, right? Because when you really are deep in love with someone and yourself, you trigger each other and you bring up things that need to be addressed. And that journey lasted about 2.5 years, long distance. And there was just too many blocks that I didn't feel were being worked through that I really wanted to work through. And so I had to say, this is my journey now. And what I would have loved to do in deep partnership is being done on my own. Like I'm still continuing that journey, you know?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I'm going to take a sip of water for a second. Mm.
But you are like touching upon very deep things. You're talking about the Chiron planet, and this is according to astrology. And you're also going to woundings and the purpose of soul. So you're kind of like bringing these two aspects together: the wounding that we all experience in life, but also the perspective of the soul. So you are feeling the calling to bring it all into a workshop. So could you discuss or tell us a little bit about it, especially those who maybe are not so familiar with astrology at all?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, I totally will. I want to preface it with saying that when I was in London on that last tour before I came home and decided I was going to do the single life, we had attended a workshop called Getting the Love That You Want with Harville Hendrix. He was the founder, and Helen LaKelly Hunt, his wife. But they weren't leading it. They have facilitators now. They've been doing this for like 25 years, 30 years. So people run these workshops. But that's the premise that you draw your partner in subconsciously because you have similar core wounds, and they on a like deep subconscious level that they would be the best ones to help you heal that. And so we did this workshop, and when I got home and was teetering on the I don't think this relationship has got much longer to go, the day that I actually got back from London, within the hour of getting home, Jason Gaddish from the relationship school was doing a live webinar, and his guests were Harville Hendrix and his wife Helen LaKelly Hunt. That was there. They coined that whole workshop, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting on this online webinar, and it kind of sparked the journey now to go into this healing realm because I knew I had stuff that had to be worked on. And I've been a student of astrology probably for about 30 years. I would say as an astrologer, I'd be intermediate level. I'm definitely not an expert. But with the core wounding, Chiron in astrology is the myth of it's the wounded healer. I'm not going to really get into the mythology now. People can look that up. He was a centaur, but he was basically born of the gods Zeus and Philyra, his mom. And so when he was born, his beautiful nymph mother was shocked that she gave birth to this creature who was half horse, half human, and she was repulsed. And so that's the core wound of not being good enough. You know, we all have that on some level, on some degree, and it shows up in partnerships. Like your partner's the best one to rub that salt in your wound, you know, to get you to wake up. And so Chiron in the wound is where you hold your wounds from this lifetime, from childhood, which will also go into the 4 attachment styles. But it also is from previous lifetimes. And, you know, depending on what people's core belief is, if they believe they've had reincarnated, you know, lifetimes, I do. I've actually seen my lives in visions since I was a very little girl. We tie that all in together.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and what I've been noticing and looking at people's charts is that wherever their Chiron is placed, if I really know these people, I can see that their attachment style, it kind of matches up to that. So there's like this whole ball of wax that if we unravel it with the Chiron, with the attachment styles, and then going into Pluto, which in the natal chart is how your soul expresses itself. And Pluto is all about like getting to the core. It rules Scorpio. It wants to, you know, the shadows to come up and be looked at so that you can transform yourself. But you have to get into it before you can get out of it. And so it's about really tying all that together in this workshop so that people can begin that healing journey if they want to. And like, why wouldn't we want to be the best versions of ourselves, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense.
Yeah.
We were talking about attachment styles. Can you talk a little bit more about that so people understand how does it work and how can they, like give an example of that?
Yeah. So, and like, well, there's 4 core attachment styles psychologically that we develop as children, usually between the ages of 0 to 2, because we're really dependent on our mothers. And we need, as human species, someone to take care of us and take care of all our needs. And even if you had all your physical needs met, let's say like anxious attachment, because that's my, excuse me, I need a little water. That's kind of like, used to be my base core wound. But I've worked through a lot of that. Now it's more secure because my parents were there for me. But even a child, let's say the parent can get to that child, the baby, for like 3 minutes, all right? And the baby's crying because it has no speech yet. So it's telling the mother, come get me, come pick me up. And it takes a little too long for that infant's liking. The mother didn't do anything wrong. Like she maybe was busy in the other room and she got there as quickly as she could, but there's no speech yet. So that child starts this like anxiousness, like this anxious attachment style. And if it happens before there's words to express language, when you're an adult, most especially like with your partner, and they make a face or do something like with body language that reminds you of the mother, you get triggered. But you have no explanation as to why you're feeling that right now. It's just a feeling like it sets something off in you. So that would be anxious attachment, but we all have a different attachment style. So there's anxious attachment, there's dismissive avoidant, there's fearful avoidant, and then there's secure, who's, you know, the children whose parents pretty much met all their needs. And of course, no family is perfect. They can't meet all your needs, but basically the secure attachment child had mostly everything met. So have as deep as a wound as the other 3 attachment styles.
Okay. So you're weaving 2 aspects, actually 3 aspects together, which is the core wound, these attachment styles, and then the soul, the Pluto, together in this workshop. So how do people know? Do they have to bring a chart, or how does it work? How would you, bring it out here?
Yeah, well, I would ask everybody if you're interested in joining us at the workshop for your birth information, time, date, and city, because time is really crucial, and some people don't know their time. Maybe the mother doesn't remember, but usually if you're born in a hospital, they usually have the time stamped on your birth certificate. The rising sign, which is the eastern side of the chart, it's whatever sign. So let's think the zodiac. let's think, the centaur here. Chiron is the centaur, so it's the sign of Sagittarius. So if Sagittarius was coming up over the horizon at the time of your birth, that means you have Sagittarius rising. And that changes 4 minutes. I'm sorry, every 4 minutes it changes a degree. So each house is 0 to 29 degrees. And every 4 minutes, the sign coming up over the horizon is going to change 1 degree. So it's really crucial to have pretty accurate time because it changes the entire chart. The whole outer wheel is going to change. There's 12 houses. So I would ask people time, date, city, and then I would print the charts out and I will bring them with me and have them. So when we're going through the workshop, you can look at your chart. I'm going to go through Chiron and Pluto in all the different signs in the houses, so that you get an explanation of like where your natal Chiron is, where your natal Pluto is, and how that's expressing itself in your life, you know, as to like you holding on to these core wounds, or maybe a better word would be patterning, because we have these attachment styles and these core wounds, and it really does, it's subconscious. Subconscious runs the entire show. So if you think about, a great aspect is like your heart, like your heart beats. You're not consciously telling it to run. It's just, it's automatic. It's like automatic. It's subconscious. It's just doing its job. And so the patterning can be there for years and you don't even know until like you get that aha moment. You're like, oh my God, the light bulb just went off. I think I've been in the same relationship with the same person, but her face just keeps changing. Her body shape changes, but I must be the one common denominator. What can I do to heal that?
Yeah.
So tying that all in so that people can start to unravel all that.
And why do you combine then the core wound and the soul? I'm interested in why these two aspects, and how do you think that the people will, how does it come together?
I think it comes together because Pluto is like the deeper aspect. In evolutionary astrology, which is what I follow, Pluto represents the soul. So it's a culmination of, you know, the essence that you're in this body, this physical body, in this lifetime, but it also is like all your past lives. So wherever it's placed in the chart, it shows you the potential for transforming that area of your life.
Okay.
So for me, you know, for instance, so Pluto rules Scorpio. So if your sun is Scorpio, you could say, okay, so Pluto rules your natal sun, you know, your sun sign. For me, I have Scorpio ascendant, I have Scorpio rising. So whatever your rising sign is, the planet that rules that sign is the planetary ruler of your entire chart, not just like your rising sign and the 8th house. But so for me, Pluto rules my chart. It's like, this is a life of deep transformation for me. And I have it sitting in the 11th house, which in natural astrology would be Aquarius. And that has to do with the community, like home of Gaia. Working with each other, new ideas to like help, you know, with the planet and sustainability and all that. So for me, having Pluto in the 11th house has to do with working with others, you know, in community, but it sits in the 11th house in Virgo in my chart. So Virgo is very detail oriented, you know, not going to like miss any I dotted or a T crossed. And the shadow side of Virgo is judgment. Very critical, very judgmental, and mostly that's a projection. It's more, I think they're more judgmental and critical of themselves, yet they tend to project it out to other people. I mean, every one of the 12 signs has, you know, their light aspects and their shadow aspects. I'm not picking on Virgos per se, but my Pluto is in Virgo. And so Pluto really shows you where you can transform your life. And in evolutionary astrology, it's really good to take the Pluto polarity point, meaning wherever Pluto is placed in your chart, you want to go to the polarity point. And for me, that would be Pisces. And that means for me, I've had lifetimes of this. I had to figure out where everything's got to fit in the box, and I need to know where that goes. And otherwise I can't relax. And this lifetime, it's about getting into Pisces, which, by the way, my Chiron is in Pisces. So isn't that interesting? I'm supposed to be stepping into the Piscean flow and just letting things happen, but my wound is there. So it's just this whole ball. So I think it's really telling of how people hold on to their wounds, and it's showing you how you can really unravel, like where your deepest transformation can come in. If you have the willingness, that's the number one word. If you're not willing to look at it, you know, it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, as they say. And it's true. But I don't think anybody that's going to be here is coming here like being dragged in. You know, they're coming because they want to work on themselves and expand.
Beautiful. I love how you, yeah, put it all together, and you have an endless sea of knowledge about astrology, and yeah, so really exciting to have you here.
Thank you. There's so much to learn, you know, and I really believe that this is like the first installment of this workshop. And that is just going to unfold and expand. Like, you know, it could be 6 months from now that I add more layers to it, because truly there's so many more layers in astrology that could help us to unravel the wounds.
Yeah, and things are changing so fast, so it's a fascinating subject to touch upon, because this is what is happening in the collective of the planet right now, that all the shadows are coming up. And yeah, and then you wanted to combine it also with hypnotherapy, because this is another thing that you are working on. Is it something that you're doing for those who want to even dive deeper with you in a private session? Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so the hypnotherapy, it's great. It gets you into an altered state of consciousness where you have more suggestibility and more creativity. So it's like taking an onion and peeling off the layers, where, and there's nothing wrong with psychological counseling and all that. It's great because it's needed and it's necessary. But with hypnotherapy, you're going below the cognitive level. So you're not just in the mind, you actually embody the changes. So when I would work with somebody, I would make sure that when they're ready to work on an issue, that they really begin to embody it and bring it back out of the hypnotic session into their day-to-day lives, so that they really start to, you know, shift the change that they want, not to just sit there and be stuck in that space of repetitive patterning where they were before. So I can give you an example. Let's say somebody is a smoker and they want to quit smoking. So we decided to do a session together. And smoking, you know, it's done because they want to relax. Maybe they want to relax and they just want to unwind, but it's not a very healthy way to relax and unwind, right? So when you get them into session, you know, and the thing is too with hypnosis, people have this idea that, oh, you know, from stage hypnosis that they've seen, they can make me run around like a chicken, you know, or all these stupid things. The person in the chair, I know it's funny because you see that, but that's not really accurate. The thing is, you can never make somebody go against their core values. I could no more like put you under hypnosis and make you do something that you would never want to do. I can't. You're really in control. It's just the hypnotherapist is helping to guide you.
Unless
and so
poor Valley would be running around like a chicken.
yes, exactly. Then you can like when you can and you can do it. But you know, they want to relax, they want to unwind, so they smoke. But we just said it's not a healthy option, and so getting into the hypnotic state could help them become more open to more creative solutions that they could come up with, like taking a walk instead of picking up that cigarette, or journaling, or, you know, you just give them some kind of suggestion that the next time they come around somebody smoking, you know, I can give you a suggestion. Oh, the next time you smell cigarette smoke, you're going to almost feel nauseous, you know, and you bring in that suggestion, and then, you know, when they embody it, they smell a cigarette, like, oof, no, thank you. Just one example. But so with the core wounding too, like they're not going to be attracted to that patterning anymore. It can make better, healthier, more creative choices so they can expand their life and stop being in that repetitive hamster wheel.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, do you have a name for your workshop yet, or is it still?
I think I do. I can't remember the exact quote. It's a quote from Rumi. I think the quote, and this is what I you know, it's so funny because Tom, your partner, was the one who said, "Don't worry, it'll come to you," you know. Oh no, I told him about the quote and he said, "There's the name." And I'm like, oh, you know, that's so good. I think it's something like, the wound is the place where the light enters you. And it was a Rumi quote, and I love Rumi. Like, man, he was such a mystic, you know.
Yeah.
And it's true, because it is. It's you know, we're on a planet of duality. You can't have light without dark. You can't have masculine without feminine. You can't have the wound without the healing. But I mean, you can. The thing is, you know, if you don't want to do it in this lifetime, eventually, and this is my belief, your soul's going to just keep giving you the same lesson until you get it, you know? So if you choose to really ignore everything and not do it this lifetime, you're gonna have to do it eventually. But that's up to you. That's up to every individual person, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
For me, I can just say, like, in my own life, the expansion, when I've had something really intense to wrestle with, and I thought, you know what? And you know me, I'm a warrior. I don't have time to play games. I just do it. And when I come out the other side, I'm like, oh, I was scared, but I did it. And like, oh my God, that was the most magical thing. Thank God I had the courage,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Because I can't live with what ifs. So this is a workshop for people who don't want to live with, you know, what if I did this? How would that be? And what if I changed that? I wonder what that would be like. Well, stop wondering. Let's do it.
Let's go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dina, we are looking forward to have you here. It's gonna be on 22nd of May. If yeah, if everything goes well with all the chaos happening in the world at the moment, and we will
Mm-hmm.
expect you to be here with us. So
I
on
hope so.
22nd of May, you will do the workshop with the Chiron and the Pluto combining the attachment style, and then the day after you will have private sessions, your hypnotherapy, and yeah, or
Yes. It'll be available the next day if somebody wants to do it, or even beyond that on Skype. You know, we can do like a Zoom or a Skype session. So that's going to always be available because this big planet's not so big when we have this kind of connection, you know?
yeah, exactly. I love
Yeah,
that.
it's always available. Me too. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm really looking forward to coming there, you know, and just stepping into this whole, you know, for me, I'm going to speak astrologically, like collectively, we've all had Saturn and Pluto in
Yeah,
Capricorn for like the past 2 years or so. And right now, Jupiter's there and Mars is there. We're going to have the four of them line up soon. And that
yeah,
hasn't happened. That hasn't happened since like something BC. I mean, that's insane. So we don't even know what that's going to look like because none of us have lived that unless it's a past life. But just Saturn and Pluto alone in Capricorn, for me personally, it was in my third house. And the third house has to do with siblings. It's Gemini's house, communication, travel, writing, all of that. And this was the time really when I started to get my voice back and say, no, I'm not gonna allow that anymore. And no, this doesn't work for me, even when I was silent trying to keep the peace. And no, I'm sorry, I can't. And it's also Saturn's the teacher. So I've had friends in Mount Shasta, well, I just love Mount Shasta, my family's there, who have said, it's your time to teach, girl. You know, it's your time. So here we go.
and what does it mean collectively, everything that's happening with the planets?
Collectively, Capricorn it's ruled by Saturn. So Saturn is in its home sign, which is extra powerful. Anytime a planet's in its own sign gives it extra, power. It has to deal with like structures. It's the bones and the spine and the body. And it has to do with like banking systems and governments. Pluto it rules Scorpio and it goes down into the deep dark to bring up things to be transformed, the shadows. So collectively, it's about the old systems crumbling. They're not working anymore. We all know things aren't sustainable, you know. It's interesting. There's just like this and I'll tell you this quick little story. When I saw John Two Hawks, this Native American flutist last weekend from the Lakota tribe, he shared a story from a grandmother in the tribe who was talking about the species on the planet and the state of the earth and how, you know, desecrated it's become. But she was saying if all the four-leggeds were to be wiped out, like the elephants and the zebras and the bear and the coyote, the planet would eventually die because it's being thrown out of balance. We need every species, everything's interconnected. And then if all the swimming ones, the fish and the dolphin and the whales and the moray eels, if they all went, all of them, again, the planet would eventually die because it's being thrown out of balance. And if you took all the winged ones, the dragonflies, the bees, the condors, the eagles, every flying being, if they all disappeared, the planet's going to die because, again, the balance is not there. And if you took the plant life and the plant life just automatically just died out, everything would die within minutes because that is so necessary for food, right? But if you took the two-leggeds, the humans, and removed us, every single one of us from this planet, she would thrive.
Yeah.
We're, and not to diss the Native Americans, because they've been trying to do, all the indigenous cultures have been trying to do the right thing since the time they landed on this planet. But the white man, I'm sorry, like, we have screwed it up big time. So Saturn and Pluto are like, yeah, you're done now. It's time to get it together. And
Time
Uranus
to
and
get back
Taurus, which
to
is, yeah,
basics and be more, a little bit more humble.
totally. But you have Uranus and Taurus now. Taurus is about Earth. It's the first Earth sign. It's grounded. It's solid. It's beauty because Venus rules it. But Uranus is there for the next, like, I think 7 years, and that's Uranus rules Aquarius. It's lightning quick flashes of insight and new scientific breakthroughs. So we're going to see a lot of like new scientific things and ways of healing the planet come into the forefront. So
Beautiful.
nothing in astrology, especially collectively, ever happens without a reason from the one intelligence,
Thank you for this wisdom, Dina. And
You're welcome.
yeah,
Thank
looking
you.
forward to have you here. So yeah, and thank you all for watching, whoever that would be. We'll
Yeah.
put this call online so you can enjoy. And if you have any more questions, you're welcome to contact you, Dina. How can people reach you?
They can reach me. My email is like the month of May, and then Queen, all lowercase, so mayqueen27@gmail.com. I would
And if you
love you. Put in the subject, let's see, Chiron workshop, CHIRON, and I will get back to you and answer it as well as I can.
Beautiful. And
Yeah.
any other practical questions, of course, you can contact us, Home of Gaia. Yeah. So thank you, Dina.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this.
What time is it now at your in the States at the moment?
3 o'clock, 3:05
During the day. Okay. We
during
are
the
8
day.
o'clock.
Yeah, it's sunny and the palm trees are swaying.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, sweetie. So looking forward to see you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for your time and for all your wisdom. And we are very looking forward to having you here.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.